Republicans seem to get their feelings hurt a lot. They want to pretend they're all big and strong and puff their chest out. But more than anything, Republicans want to be victims. They want to have their little feelings hurt, and they often do. And we saw that just yesterday when Jasmine Crockett dropped the hammer on Donald Trump in a brutal call-out, as she always does. And immediately Donald Trump's friends, really his stooges at the Fox propaganda outlet, absolutely melt down and kind of threw a tantrum. It was hysterical to watch how upset they were with the truth from Jasmine Crockett. So much so that we are going to get into it. But before we do, if I could quickly ask you to leave a like on this video. And if you haven't already and you enjoy our channel, to hit that subscribe button. It goes a long way and it really does mean a lot to me. Now, before we get into this hysterical meltdown from Fox, I first want to check out what had them so upset. The truth from Jasmine Crockett.
I mean, you just called it what it is. It's a cleansing. I mean, listen, when Democrats got out there and we said that our democracy was really at risk, people were like, oh, Democrats, you're out there, you're gaslighting. It's not our democracy. Well, he did say he'd be a dictator on day one. Oh, Democrats, it's just Trump. He just talks. Well, let me tell you something. He is doing more than talking. We talked about Project 2025. We talked about the consolidation of power. We talked about how he wanted to be a king. We talked about in a democratic republic, that is not what it is. We have some sort of checks and balances, and he is doing everything that he can to get rid of those checks and balances. The DOJ and the people that he's going after were simply doing their jobs. The problem is that Americans thought that it was okay to take a full-fledged criminal and make him the president of the United States, and then they want to act aghast when he does criminal things. Let me tell you, we have a thug in charge of the United States, and if we don't wake up, we may not have a United States, because right now he has only been successful in being a divider in chief.
Can you tell me what you're hearing about him from Republicans, from colleagues that will speak to you off the record? Do they have concerns about him? No names, but are you hearing concerns?
I do hear concerns, and let me make sure that I get this timeline together for the American people. Number one, he was sworn in on January 20th. That was on a Monday. We were supposed to be in session from Tuesday to Friday of that week. They canceled our Friday votes, so we have only been in session Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday of the week that he was sworn in. No other days. They decided to take advantage of the fact that Congress was not in and started to unravel and break as many things in our democracy as they could without us being here. But I can tell you that even when we went through the CR vote, there were Republicans that silently or in the background were cheering us on and saying this is wrong. Like, they knew we had negotiated, and all of a sudden this guy who's not elected makes a tweet on Twitter. And so, no, can I tell you that Republicans want to see Elon go down? I can. Now, will they come out publicly and say that? No, because they're concerned about whether or not he'll spend money in their next elections. But there are some. But I need them to understand that this is their time to rise up and do what is right. This is the time to honor the oath that we all took. Listen, today I had to enter into agreement with Rand Paul, something that I never saw on my bingo card. But this is a guy who made it clear. This stupid tariff war is just that. It is dumb. And I have to agree, even when it's somebody like Rand Paul, I have to agree that he is absolutely correct.
Donald Trump is a criminal, even outside the White House, both as a private citizen and as president in the first term. And now this one, unequivocally, he is breaking the law constantly. I would say it is his favorite thing to do, but you also have McDonald's up there. You have lying, you have tweeting, you have spray tan, you have whatever he puts in the rat's nest on his head. Those are definitely some hobbies. They're pretty high ranking on the list for Donald Trump. But of course, he loves corruption and criminality. And clearly so does Elon Musk, because they've engaged in it so much, trying to destroy our government. And the folks at Fox aren't happy that we're pointing that out, especially Jasmine Crockett. Just listen to how upset they got at what she had to say.
Here is Texas Democrat Jasmine Crockett with her thoughts on Donald Trump. Listen.
Well, he did say he'd be a dictator on day one. Oh, Democrats, you know, it's just Trump. He just talks. Well, let me tell you something. He is doing more than talk. We have a thug in charge of the United States. And if we don't wake up, we may not have a United States, because right now he has only been successful in being a divider in chief.
Well, we've heard this before the election. Democrats, some of them, are still singing this same tune. So what do you think about that comment?
Oh, boy, Carly. By all means, MSNBC, keep putting that person and her unhinged rhetoric on the air. This whole Trump will end democracy argument is the best unintentional comedy out there.
This is one of my favorite things about Republicans, which by favorite things, I mean, one of the things I despise most about them, and boy, do I despise them, is that Jasmine Crockett called out Donald Trump with some passion, right? She was forceful. And Republicans are acting like she committed a crime for calling out Donald Trump's crime. Whenever a Democrat, just gives it to us straight, whenever Democrats speak the truth unapologetically, Republicans are, oh my gosh. If it's not in a kindly worded memo asking Donald Trump, hey, can you do us a favor? Could you not break the law if it's an inconvenience? No, when Democrats are just saying Donald Trump's a criminal, he's trying to steal your tax dollars to put them into the pockets of Elon Musk. He's trying to install his own lackeys in every aspect of government so he can commit all the crimes he wants. When we make that message clear, Republicans, oh my gosh, so offended. They're more offended with our response to Donald Trump's crimes than the crimes themselves. That's all you need to know about Republicans. They're afraid of the language, but the action, the criminality, the corruption, totally excusable. And it's funny that they're so upset with how Democrats speaking honestly, when that's kind of the whole thing that they try to do, not speak honestly, of course, but kind of puff their chest out, and Donald Trump pretends to be this macho man with the strong tariffs, when in fact Donald Trump is only trying to slap tariffs all over the place because he is so weak, because he is so insecure, because he is so unsure of himself, because daddy didn't give him enough hugs when he was a kid, let's be honest. And now he's taking it out on the rest of us. And it's hitting our pocketbook because of this dumb trade war, the dumbest trade war, which Ari Melber perfectly called out in a clip I want to check out right here.
But our top story right now is President Trump's threats of this trade war, which he then quickly backed off of because it has real-world consequences for you, for people in this country, for people in other countries, even though it is also, as we begin the week, a kind of sputtering opening failure of his efforts. The same Americans who were very concerned about prices and inflation back in November, that was a key issue we were told by voters, could be impacted by what we can only see so far as Donald Trump's sort of shaky or inconsistent tariff threats. And this is the very start of his tenure. This is his January, February priority based on a November victory. He's in office less than a month, and now we can report, as you may have heard, but we're going to get into the details, Trump is blinking today after threatening what could have been this trade war over the weekend. Now, there are many countries that have tried various tariff efforts for many decades. So we actually know a bit about what you see on your screen, how supply chains and products and grocery prices and shipping, how all of this is affected. Many countries have found that, again, I'm going to generalize, but a sudden sort of one-way effort to engineer tariffs don't tend to benefit the country starting that trade war. And as for the inflation that I mentioned, economists and many impacted businesses estimate that ineffective tariffs, sort of just throwing them out there, will increase inflation, and they become essentially a new tax. So today, that's the context for Donald Trump now backing off what was threatened as 25% tariffs, which is a big, steep hike, on the neighboring countries of Canada and Mexico. He is basically blinking. This story matters even if he backs down. He's also claiming that he got some minor adjustments, but not really at the economic tariff level. That's what he says he's getting in return for delaying the thing he threatened that he's not doing. Donald Trump has pulled his own tariffs and his own tariff schedule. He had vowed these to begin as soon as midnight. Now he's delaying them, he says, for 30 days, but that could be longer given what we've just lived through.
Well, it was obviously going to run into a lot of problems. I mean, first thing to say, I'm not a lawyer, but the tariffs look illegal to me. I mean, Trump invoked an emergency economic powers, and we don't have an economic emergency. We have low unemployment and low inflation. Right. What's this about? And it's also supposed to be used for economic ends, and they sort of settled on drugs as the justification, which clearly was bogus, right? And the drugs, fentanyl here is the weapons of mass destruction of the trade war, and it's a fake argument. And then why do it? Trump has always. This is a personal Trump fixation. This is one of these things where there isn't really a strong interest group. There isn't really a meaningful economic argument. The arguments are crazy. This is just something that Trump, you can find tapes of Trump going back to 1988 saying we should have 25% tariffs. Somehow or other, he made up his mind that he was smarter than anybody else on international trade policy, and this was his moment to do it. And he folded almost instantly when Canada and Mexico revealed that they are actually independent countries with a will of their own.
Yes, he's stupid. Donald Trump is dumb. He is hurting the entirety of the country. Everyone. And what's been so funny about the very targeted response, especially from Canada at first, with their retaliatory plan, and I expect some tariffs to be coming back at some point, is that they said, no, we're going to target red states specifically. But don't even look at the tariffs. Look at the important government programs, the social safety net that we have, the funding given to different organizations to support communities. Where is that coming from? Federal government. Where is it going to overwhelmingly? Red states. You think Kentucky is sending more tax dollars to the federal government than California is? No, California is subsidizing Kentucky. You want to talk about DEI? The blue states have been holding up the red states for the entirety of the country's existence. And they're talking about DEI? They're talking about trimming the fat in government? Well, it's keeping the red states alive. So if y'all want to be cut loose, if you want to rely on yourselves, okay. It's going to be a tough lesson to learn. And one that we're going to call out on this show every single day. And if you want to support that, as always, you can hit that subscribe button. You can leave a like on this video. And if you stuck around till the end, I know it's getting more difficult with this news every single day, but you can drop a blue heart in the comments. And until next time, I'll see you soon.